And welcome into the Monday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. I hope everybody had a phenomenal weekend. I stayed up into the wee hours of the morning last night to watch a tie in the National Football League. So happy birthday to me. Good tie last night between the Packers and the Cowboys, where the best defense in the NFL gave up 40 points. Looked like a high school team out there. Good stuff from the floor. Joe Rexrode, how we doing? Good morning.
My goodness. Yeah, I have a lot of questions about that because I didn't see most of it. But first of all, wait, is today your birthday?
Yesterday. So I got the tie on my birthday, which is about as un-American as it gets. Lost the Ryder Cup and tied on my birthday.
Yeah, man, that's tough. Well, happy birthday all the same. I have questions about the Ryder Cup too, because obviously, as you know, I didn't watch 1/10 of a second of it. No,
at this point, Hally-ho!
The American fans, what were they doing? Was this like a Happy Gilmore scene? I mean, what was going on here?
Apparently got pretty nasty with Rory McIlroy over the weekend.
Throwing a beer at his wife?
Yeah, apparently it did not go well for all the residents of New York up there. Don't like to see that stuff. Do not like to see that stuff. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Yeah, how about last night? A tie-agami, scoregami, 40-40. Tie. How about that?
Told me before the game, Jordan Love's going to play like an MVP, score 40 points.
So happy birthday, Robby.
Packers will win by 35 if that was the case. Just ridiculous in that game. We'll get into that later in the week. Joe?
Crazy.
Somehow the Titans, I think, have surpassed even my expectations of ineptitude, and they did it again this Sunday in Houston. In an NFL game, which is hard to do at this point, given the rules and how long an NFL game is and all these different things, they somehow failed to not score any points. It's just unbelievable. Shutout in Houston. They lose 26-0. They fall to 0-4, and now we're all on Brian Callahan watch. Today, tomorrow, this week, we'll see how everything goes. But it was ugly. Cam Ward's numbers yesterday, Joe, were awful. 10 of 26, 108 yards passing, which is 4.2 yards per pass. An interception in the game, a quarterback rating of 35.4. The defense held in there for a while. I mean, I guess that's the one positive you can take away. I mean, it was 6-0 Texans after 3 quarters of play. And then that all fell apart in the fourth quarter, where they gave up 20 points in the fourth. And they drop to 0-4 after being shut out 26-0 by a Houston Texans team that I'm still not convinced is all that good, Joe. So where you want to start on today's edition of the Tennessee Titans and a Monday loss that we discuss?
Oh, my God. This is as bad as it's ever been. I mean, like, even – they can't. They everything they touch turns to poop. I mean, you even like you had like some good things, very few good things. Like you had a good kicker. Remember that?
Yeah.
But hey, Joey Slack can kick it a million. He is Uncle Rico, except with his foot, and he can't hit a freaking 33-yard field goal.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's like everything is just completely just trash. I mean, I don't know. I'm struggling. I was thinking about, I was like, I don't know what to say anymore. Like you said, Callahan, and certainly I think at this point I would ask media. There's no more defense, it's just it's a matter of time. So it's like, I think it's possible this week. I think it's getting more and more likely that he's not making it to the end of the season. It's impossible now for me to conceive of a situation where he's the coach next year. And, then you get to like, okay, we've been focusing on Callahan, but like, he's not the only problem.
No.
How deep do the problems go? Cause it's just, it's just rotten. Right. And the thing is, you're right. They did hang in, and Jeff Simmons right now is playing like a monster, like a guy who liked to get out of town.
Yeah.
And maybe he will for a nice price back. But I mean, but even then, I mean, I think that fourth quarter defensively was as close to quitting as you get. They lost all of their energy, and now you got Callahan on the verge of, I don't know, putting Karski in a headlock. I mean, like, it's all just gone to crap.
Well, to be honest with you, I think the quarterback summed it up about as well as I've heard anyone in the history of the franchise sum it up yesterday. So let's hear from Cam Ward and his thoughts on the state of the Titans after the game.
What's not going right for this offense where you guys just can't get on track?
Everything from interception to a penalty to an incompletion by me, a bad ball, and then once we pass the 50, we just not continuing the drive. So, I mean, if we keeping the buck right now, we 0-4. We have this one. We got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in, especially myself on the offensive line, from the defensive line, from the special teams to all three faces. We have to play together. We have not played together this year yet, and that's just something that we want to preach about it every day. Every day we got to do better, and we're doing that, but it has to show up on Sundays. It hasn't showed up yet, but it got to show up next week.
If we keeping it buck, we ass. That's what the quarterback said. I think that about sums things up, Joe.
Was that bleeped? Ian, did you bleep that?
It was like cut out, kind of. Yeah, the team put out a edited version.
Yeah.
We need to get the real version, because ass is absolutely it is all out ass today.
Yeah, it was just on the YouTube channel like that, so I just went with it.
We ass is absolutely the slogan of the Tennessee Titans. Karski, remember when he used to mess with Vrabel?
Oh yeah,
good to great. And now
would you say that's good to great, Mike?
We ass. That is the 2025 Tennessee Titans. My goodness. Hey, he was, again, with Cam Ward, it's like he made, 2 or 3 passes. We're like, ooh, yesterday. Other than that, he was bad.
Yeah.
But my goodness, was he fantastic right there. Kudos to him.
Top 5 moment in the franchise, I thought. Just amazing what he put on display in the post game, Joe. And I didn't watch his post game press conference live because, frankly, watching the 3-hour performance live was bad enough. So I was like, I don't know how much energy I'm spending after the game watching it live. But then I saw the quote. I think Bleacher Report put out was the first place I saw it, and I was like, well, I'm going to have to go make sure he actually said that, because that's the most amazing thing I think I've ever heard, and that's what he said. So that's what this quarterback about sums it up yesterday with the Tennessee Titans there. Just absolutely brutal. And, Joe, I said this on Twitter last night. I'm as tired as anybody else is of waking up on a Monday morning and coming in and talking about a Titans loss. Like, we've been doing that routinely. Like, it's like part of our weekly schedule at this point of, all right, so we're going to talk about the Titans getting their butts kicked on Monday because that's what they do. We're going to get into the game. We're going to get into some things that went wrong in the game, which the list is very long. But I'm really more interested today just in the big picture of the Titans, the Brian Callahan discussion. And here's kind of where I'm at with it right now. I've already said last week I'd move on from the guy. Like, I think it's time to move on and fire Brian Callahan. I have been able to listen, Joe, to the point of the counterpoint, which was, well, what kind of sense does it make to do it right now, right? Like, last week was week 3. It's early in an NFL season. You don't typically see coaches get fired this early into an NFL season. So what benefit is there to doing it right now? Which I think has been a fair point to bring up and a fair counter argument. And I guess if you still want to bring it up, you can. It's only week 4 in the NFL season. I think my question today would be, what positives are there right now to keeping him around? That's kind of where I'm at with it right now. What are the positives to keeping him around at this point? Because to me, and this is just me, you can disagree with this, and that's fine. They're getting worse. They're not getting better. They're getting worse on a week-to-week basis. The quarterback is not properly developing right now. This is not good for Cam Ward, what we're seeing out there on a weekly basis. The numbers yesterday were awful. Ridley had 3 targets, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. I mean, we're talking about a response game from Calvin Ridley, and they throw the ball to him 3 times. Now you've changed up the play caller, and that resulted in a whopping 0 points for you yesterday. It's all bad. It's all bad right now. So, my question has gone from, obviously I want the guy fired. I think it's going to happen at some point. I don't even think, if it's going to happen at some point, I think is out the window. I think we know it's going to happen at some point. I don't know what positives there are to keeping him around right now. That's where I've gotten on this.
Yeah, I think the question of what's the benefit? I think now you have to just flip that around, and I don't know that there'll be any benefit. I think this team is so bad. This team has a chance to be the worst Titans team of all time. This team has a chance to be, I think this team has a chance to be 0-17. I wouldn't pick that. I'm sure they'll still stumble their way into a couple wins this year, but they got a chance. They have a chance to be 0-17. So, yeah, I think at this point you flip it around and say, what's the benefit of keeping them? I mean, again, it's behind the scenes. And I'm with you. Like Cam Ward, this can't be. Well, look, I'll say this. If Cam Ward ends up being really good, he might point back to this rookie season and say, all that crap I went through made me better, made me stronger. Again, we've talked about guys who have had terrible situations. In fact, the rookie who took over the 0-16 Detroit Lions, for example.
Yes.
It was terrible. He looked awesome yesterday, by the way. Boy, tough one for the Colts. Whew, we'll get to that at some point this week. Oh my goodness. But so is this ruining Cam Ward? I don't know about that, but unless Cam Ward is going to people and saying do not fire him, and even if he does, I mean, frankly, at some point it's there has to be accountability, and you just have to have a change. But that's the only thing I can think of, And again, you fire him, and now your O-line coach and your head coach are gone. So you got 2 people who do a lot of work who leave. Just from a workload perspective, hey, that's not great, but you got some quality control people who can do more or whatever. It's just, I don't know if the team is just terrible, or if this is a commentary on how they feel about him or his inability to reach them. But I think a change at some point, probably pretty soon, is worth a shot. Again, I don't think it's going to get better, but I think you're flipping the question around now. Is what's the benefit of continuing on this track? It's getting to the point where, again, we're getting to the point where these pressers now,
it's toxic.
Believe me. Yeah, it's toxic. That's exactly right. So we toxic. There's a lot of shirts that can be printed out of this thing.
Let's quickly head to our 1025 The Game phone line. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, so we didn't win 3 in a row like I predicted.
It did not happen.
Dude,
the starts this
I'm not
week.
calling you guys. I promise you, I'm not calling you guys on the Titans again this year. Let's go Stamkos Forsberg. I hope they're good. I'll talk to you about the Preds. I refuse to talk about this team anymore, man. And I love them. I hope Amy Adams drunk. I hope she's got somebody in her ear going, hey, there's people out there who really love this team who are not interested in them anymore. Because, it's top to bottom. It's disgusting, man. What's happened to our football team is awful. It was unwatchable yesterday for most part. Our young quarterback is not very good right now, and we knew it was going to get there before the season started, and here's where we are, man. So I can't even talk about him. We're at week 4, and I can't even talk about him without feeling sick. So, yeah, this is the last I talked to you guys about the Titans for a while, man. So
sorry to hear that,
Adam.
Adam.
We get better, but it's really set in as an awful, awful thing for me.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate the phone call. We're off and running today on the show. It's 26-0, the final score yesterday for the Houston Texans. Titans shut out. Brian Callahan getting a little snippy with Kuharski after the game, which was entertaining. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 the game. Titans lose 26-0 down in Houston yesterday. They dropped to 0-4 on the season. We are taking your thoughts throughout the show at 615-737-1025, our phone number. Joe, after the game, as we knew it would be, an interesting press conference with Brian Callahan, and it got a little snippy between Kuharski and Callahan after the game. Here was the back and forth in the middle of the press conference between Kuharski and Brian Callahan.
Do you think this is a resilient and relentless football team?
I know what you're doing there, Paul. I know what you're doing. And I'm not going to answer that right now.
Well, I mean, those are the themes that we've tried to cover.
Yeah.
This football team, you're 20-some games in.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I'm just compose myself here before I say something I regret. But yes, I think this team is resilient. I think it is relentless. We haven't played good enough football, and I think those are two very distinct, different things. We have to execute at a better level. We have to coach better. That's really all I can say.
So a little bit of hostility there between Callahan and PK. Brian, do you think this team is relentless? Do you think this team is relentless and resilient? Joe, your thoughts on the back and forth there between Kuharski and Callahan?
So first of all, I don't even like. I mean, God, you say anything, and Kuharski will write it down in his little notebook and just wait to use it on you, right? So I mean, is this a thing? Like, I mean, I'm trying. Like, all these coaches have all these, like I'm like D Mace. I don't know if he still does it with Middle Tennessee, but like at Vanderbilt, RTI, right? Relentless, tough, and intelligent. Like all these coaches have. If Vrabel had all this stuff, they all have these. Is this a thing Callahan said at some point? He's relentless, resilient, resilient. Is that a thing?
I'm sure it was. I'm sure there's something.
I think I was hearing him, I think, on the Paul Kuharski podcast last night talking about those are like some of the keywords that are on the wall in the building.
Right.
Like some of those, themes or whatever that they like to put up there.
Sure.
Kuharski going around looking at the wall.
He says they should take them down and just have, when they walk in today, just have giant holes in the wall.
Kuharski, would you say this team is an exit sign, Brian?
Should they bulldoze the facility, Brian?
Is this a restroom? Oh my God. Amazing. Yeah.
All we can do is laugh.
I mean, I love PK, but it's just like, I mean, like I can't. I must say, Brian Callahan. It's bad. I give him credit for actually composing himself. I guess I kind of was hoping for a nice Vrabel moment and just unload on him, But it's amazing the stuff that PK comes up with sometimes. Also, like Callahan's like, I do think this team is resilient. Okay, I do think this team is relentless. Do you? Do you think this team's relentless?
I got news for you.
I don't think this team's relentless. If you think this team's relentless, watch the fourth quarter film and then get back to everybody today and talk about how relentless they are. Again, not saying, again, quit's a big word, but man, they were out. They were spent. They just wanted the clock to run out in the fourth quarter yesterday. And that's a bad sign for him, for everybody.
Yeah, and look, I agree generally, and a theme that came up multiple times in the press conference was essentially there's a difference between not playing well and not giving effort, and I agree with that, and we've talked about that a lot here on the show. And I don't know that I've come away too many times thinking that the Titans aren't giving enough effort out there, but I am with you. Like, in that fourth quarter yesterday, like they laid down. I don't know if quit may not be the right word, but they laid down. And look, some of it's natural, Joe. Like when you're getting your head bashed in every week, at some point you look around and you're like, man, like especially for that defense right now, and this has been a problem for the Titans for a long time. You got an offense that can't score. Like they cannot score points. And yesterday was an extreme. You're talking about being shut out in an NFL game, which just should never happen, frankly. But like your offense is not good. Your offense hasn't been good for a long time. You can't score points. And like at some point you're just like, man, like I've given everything I can give and let's get out of here. Let's get on the plane. We know we've lost. Let's get on the plane. So I agree with him. There's a difference between quitting and not showing effort versus not playing well. But if you watch them play and you think, yeah, relentless, resilient, whatever word you want to come to mind is how to describe your football team, I got news for you, buddy. It's not.
Relentless is absolutely not the
Yeah.
word. Yeah. And look, they're beaten. I mean, I think it's more than anything, just like everybody. I mean, poor Adam's calling up and he's like, I'm done with sports. I mean, I'm like on the YouTube channel, like, Adam, you're Vols fan? Vols, they won. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, the sun's coming out today. But everybody's beaten down. This team is beating everybody down.
Oh, yeah.
Who watches, covers, works for the organization, plays, coach. I mean, it's
an absolute chore to watch on Sunday. It's an absolute, like I looked yesterday, I was like, well, I guess I have to watch the Titans, huh? And I think that's how a lot of people feel.
Yeah. And, on the text line, which is popping, and I'm not keeping up with it well, but like there's apathy text, and I think, that's where it gets. I mean, we were talking about it last year. You create apathy with this stuff. It's so bad. So, yeah, I mean, relentless is not at all what this team is. I think I just think a big talking point yesterday, Robby, was and I noticed is another. I think Kaharski was big on this too, right? Like, and it's funny. This is like classic Kaharski stuff, but like a lot of questions to the players of, did you see it during the week of practice,
Yeah.
right? And this is a common thing when a team performs terribly. It's like, did you get the sense that this might be the case during the week? But usually that's like if there's a surprisingly bad performance. But of course, Simmons, and I believe him. Simmons, like, they looked great. Everybody's talking with you, and I totally believe him. And I do, I don't think he's BSing. They had a good week of practice. But guess what that tells you? See, when you're practicing against yourself and you're a total garbage team, you can feel okay about things. Right? I mean, the very simple answer is you are terrible. You cannot compete with anybody in this league. So you can have a great week all you want at this point. You don't have answers. And that's mostly a talent issue, but it's also a coaching issue. I mean, to have this few answers in general and to be this inept, there's still some talent on this team. We can't act like there's zero talent on this team. This team is not as bad as it's performing, and that's coaching.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like I think, it gets lost in this sometime because we all realize it's not a talented football team. It's also not the worst football team that's ever been thrown out there on the field from a talent standpoint. And that's what they look like on a weekly basis. They look like a team that doesn't have a chance to win a football game. And it should not be the case in the NFL where you just feel like you have no chance to win ever. Like, it's amazing that they've been able to be as bad as they are right now. Let's head back to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Dustin in Hopkinsville to the program. Dustin, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys. I have low expectations, so my morning is good. I've been where Adam's at for a couple of years now. When they answered the phone, I told them I want to talk about the Titans. They said, well, what's on your mind? I said, where do you want to start? I said, well, the beginning's the end, the end's the beginning. I mean, it's just turmoil.
That's a good point.
He said, fair enough. All right. So I have stopped watching the games until yesterday a little bit. I'll watch maybe a quarter. I just can't stomach it until they fired Callahan. They've got to. It's not just, okay, we're a mid-team, mediocre, and he's still able to lead this locker room and lead this quarterback. Guys, we can get into the Levis thing all day. I think he was more hurt than help on Levis. I don't know that Levis would have ever been any kind of NFL QB or not, but we can't sit here and know it today. I'm telling you right now, he is starting to regress Cam Ward. Cam Ward's starting to talk crap about his own team in 4 games, which is viable. I don't think there was anything wrong with that. However, Brian Callahan, you may not see it in the social media. You got Simmons is always going to back whoever when he shouldn't. You can't listen to him. He's backing Callahan. But this guy lost his locker room. You're going to have big boys walking by Brian Callahan and the quarterback coach. Look at this chump. Look at this guy, man. Look, he going to sit down with them at the lunch table now. Nah, man, let's all get up and move over here. Dude, this guy's got to go. Amy, you need to start treating this team like a stock. You got Borgonzi. I'm going to call him Borgesus, okay? He drafted a lot of great guys, and that right there is it tells me everything I need to know about him. Treat it like a stock. Buy it, forget about it for 5 years, keep your hands off of it, let the stockbrokers handle it. Hey, man, y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Dustin. Appreciate the call. We'll take your thoughts, 615-737-1025, our phone number, 26-0, the final down there in Houston. And we'll ask the question coming up next, was that the game that gets Brian Callahan fired? We know what it is in Houston with this owner. Is that
Go
the
sit
one
at the nerd table, Brian.
Callahan's coming. Move, get the trays. Move them over. More
Don't
coming
look
up
at him.
next.
Don't look at him.
Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Mondays were made for Macero. Big screens, bold flavors, and all the football action from queso to kickoffs. This is how Macero does game night. Macero Football Mondays in 12 South. Don't miss a snap. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. Texans win 26-0 against the Tennessee Titans yesterday. So, Joe, throwing the question out there, do we think this is the game that gets Brian Callahan fired? They're 0-4. They look awful. To me, they're getting worse, which is not good. Cam Ward looked bad. I mean, let's just call it what it is. He looked awful yesterday. How much of that is his fault? I don't know. But he looked bad yesterday. And, Joe, we know how important the Houston game, particularly the one in Houston, is to this owner. So you've got just an avalanche of negativity around the franchise right now. You go out there and you get shut out by the Houston Texans, who, quite frankly, I still look at, Joe, and I watch them, and I don't know that they're very good. Like, I understand they won the division the last couple of years, and they should be better than they are. I still watch them. I'm like, yeah, I just don't know if they're all that good. And they win 26-0 against you yesterday. So if you're Amy Adams Strunk, given the entire background that we've talked about a billion times with her to this point, what's your thought process today as if you're sifting through the 26-0 loss to drop to 0-4 on the season?
Yeah, it's a good question. Who do you trust in the organization? Who do you believe in among all these people you've hired? I think you have to. We've talked before about the whole, quick trigger finger and all this stuff, and I have been of the belief that she knows what people say and knows what people have said about her, and she's obviously made some rash decisions. So might be more inclined to not do that now. But at this point, it wouldn't be considered a rash decision. I don't think by anyone in the fan. I mean, it's at this point, it's hard for me to think it's a good idea to trot that guy out in your stadium the next time you're home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that bad. And again, not to say that it's all on him. I mean, everybody needs to be looked at. And so if you're Amy Adams Strunk, you need to scrutinize the whole thing. But again, you keep changing it too. So if you constantly keep changing it, then it probably isn't going to get much better, right?
Yeah.
Like, who's good and who do you trust? Clearly she has trusted Chad Brinker. He's been here through this whole thing. Somehow, he avoids culpability, or has to this point. And everybody focused on the coach. I think it's probably close. And it could, I wouldn't be surprised anymore. Like last week, I would have been surprised. And this is still, remember, Robbie, early, yesterday wasn't there wasn't a huge coaching issue on the sideline.
No,
it's just this guy cannot tap into anything positive and get anything moving. They change the play caller and you immediately score 0 points. That's a great sign that it's just not going to happen. So, I think honestly, your mindset is probably do I fire him this week or do I wait a little bit more? That's probably it.
Yeah. Look, you can't make your decision based off this because it's just not a way to operate if you're an owner. But it's going to be, the next time they're at home, they're probably going to be 0-6 and Vrabel's coming in. And number one, I don't know how many people are going to, I don't know how many Titans fans are going to be at the game. I really don't. I don't know how many Titans fans are going to go to the game when it comes to the next home game that they're there. And the Titans fans who are there, they're just going to boo this guy mercilessly. And again, you're not making your decision based off that, but it is where your fan base is right now. It's just, they're so dejected. And I think a lot of them, and we're hearing from a lot of them on the text line today, are either at or approaching the point of apathy in terms of I've got something better to do with 3 hours of my Sunday, right? It's that bad right now. And look, the Houston game, Terry McCormick called in last week talking about this. We talked with PK about it. We know that some big time decisions at times have been made in this franchise in the aftermath of a Houston game. If she did it this week, it wouldn't be just the Houston game to me. The bottom line is the guy's 3-18, and I keep coming back to they're getting worse. It would be one thing if you could point to some areas of the team and you'd be like, you know what? I feel like this part of the team is getting better and that they're on the right trajectory here. And if you give them a few more weeks, by the time the end of the season rolls around, maybe you'll feel really good about this. But this is kind of what I got back to start the show. I've reached the point with Callahan that if he's around much longer, it's doing you way more harm than good. I understand that firing your head coach in the middle of an NFL season, and by the way, this is not even the middle, it's still kind of the beginning of an NFL season, is not good. And there's nothing good that comes from that. I just am no longer convinced that there's anything good about keeping this around right now. I think think about how bad this is right now, Joe, and the conversation around this team and around this franchise and around him. And it's week 4. It's week 4 of the NFL season. This can still get a lot worse. and will get, to me, a lot worse in terms of the results, in terms of the toxic nature. You're going to have more players spouting off the more this goes. And we'll get into this a little bit later. But like if I'm Jeffrey Simmons, I'm demanding a trade before the deadline. I'm like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. I want to be anywhere else. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But it is an absolute avalanche of negativity around him and around this team right now.
Yeah. Last week I made the comparison of like the college coach, Sam Pittman, by the way, out at Arkansas, but like the college coach, and when negativity snowballs, it's more urgent because, again, recruiting is a thing, and because the boosters, it's different than ownership, but I mean the boosters apply all this pressure, and it just gets the negativity. Like I think in the NFL you were a little bit insulated from that, right? Because there's no recruits to worry about or anything like that. Like, but when it gets this negative like it is now, then the firing is in part just to ease that, just to shut everybody up.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, that's not why you fire someone, to shut everybody up. But if you believe it's inevitable anyway, if you believe, look, like this is not going to work out, we're going to have to go in a different direction. Now that it just continued, the focal point now is him. I mean, today, it's like, get your popcorn to see what kind of, like Koharski will find like some some letter he wrote to somebody in college or something, and like, hold it up. Did you really say this? I mean, like, but it's, it's like, it becomes this focal point, and you just release that pressure with the firing, and then it's still a bad situation. All that, you still have the bigger questions of the direction of the franchise, the front office.
Yep.
But it's when it gets this bad, sometimes you just have to do it, and I think they're getting awfully close to that.
Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line. Welcome in Jared in Spring Hill to the program. Jared, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Oh, good morning. But I'm opposite of you, Robby. I think you gotta let them wall around in this. You're talking about what good can happen. I like whenever this bad thing happens, let's just keep them around and let them waller in their decisions a little bit. And I mean, again, what else? Like, what could possibly come from firing them? Because Brinker and everybody was blowing the sails of Callahan all offseason, and this great offseason program and everything else. Like, look, let's let them waller in it. You know what I mean? That way you're leaving no stone unturned. I already texted in and asked, is this the worst team in NFL history? And, I mean, granted, the Lions had Stafford. We don't even have that at this point. So we're eclipsing that territory as the worst team in history. So, hey, for my entertainment, keep everybody around, let them waller in it, because I'm finding some gratification out of this on Sundays.
Are you?
Okay. What's that?
Are you?
Yeah, absolutely, because it's comical at times. It is really comical at times. And then you flip it over to another game, you're like, oh, a touchdown. Oh, man, that must be nice. And another thing, I would pay $5 to have an Amy cam in the corner of our screen at this point in time during a broadcast, just to see what she's doing at this point. I think that'd be very entertaining as well.
Yep. Thank you, Jared.
Yeah. All right. Have a great day and tighten up, baby. Low T.
Thank you. We appreciate it. 615-737-1025.
This is a low T alert.
615-737-1025. On the Cam Ward front, some concerns I have there that are related to Callahan. We will get into that coming up next. Take your thoughts. Titans lose 26-0 to the Houston Texans. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
What gives you the confidence that the plan is good or that the plan will work when you haven't felt or seen the results yet?
Because it's there. Like, I'm watching the film on the sideline. It's there. It's just, whether it's a bad play by me or bad play by one of the 11, like, it's just not clicking when it needs to click. It has to click every drive, and it's not doing that yet. And so, I mean, the biggest thing is the urgency. I think up front, those guys, they were gritty today. In the run game and the pass game, they went against a good defensive line up there. And, I mean, from an offense standpoint, we just have to be consistent. It's 4 games, and we own 4. Why? Because we're inconsistent.
That's Cam Ward after the game yesterday. A lot of stuff from Cam Ward.
Bring back the "we ass" quote.
I got a feeling we'll get some mileage out of that one.
We need to play "we ass" at least 20 times today.
I got a feeling that may happen. So, Joe, we know the situation around Cam Ward's bad. We don't need to relitigate that. It's awful. The numbers for him yesterday, not good. He's 10 of 26, 108 yards passing, 1 interception, a quarterback rating of 35.4, and 10 of 26 for 108 yards. That's 4.2 an attempt. That's not very good in the NFL. So, I mean, you look at the whole picture of Cam Ward, and I feel basically the same way I felt about him all season long to this point, which is he'll make a few plays in a game where you're like, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. And then overall, the operation of the offense and the production of the offense just isn't there. Like, it's just not there. And yesterday is the most extreme example we have of that to this point. Here are the numbers, Joe, for Cam Ward through the first 4 games of the year. He has completed 51.2% of his passes, which is not good. 614 yards, 4.9 yards an attempt, which is not good. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now, I think we all know, if you watch the Titans play, that even though those numbers are bad, he's not getting a whole lot of help out there. The offensive line, not very good. Calvin Ridley has been essentially a non-factor in the offense to this point. Like, the one bright spot in the offense in terms of playmakers to this point has been Io Manor. And even he wasn't perfect yesterday. So we know that. We know that the situation is bad around Cam Ward. Frankly, the numbers right now are awful on Cam Ward through the first 4 games. They're not good. And I know the game is more complicated than the numbers. And watching the game, like I said, he'll make some plays in every game where you're like, yep, that's why he was taken number 1 overall. But this kind of gets back to my point on Callahan. It's very difficult for me to listen to an argument right now that Cam Ward is being properly developed by this staff, by this coach. It's hard for me to get there. I get it. He's in an awful situation. But I'm worried to death right now, Joe, if they keep Callahan around much longer, and certainly if they keep him around through the end of the year, that this is going to do some big-time damage to Cam Ward. It's been that bad through 4 games.
Yeah. I mean, the last part is where I would probably disagree, just in terms of, not that it's impossible, but like, again, I don't know like what David Carr would have been if he didn't get sacked a million times. But I've grown into the belief of more of like, you know, if you're good, like you'll get through stuff like this, you'll use it to your advantage and you'll come out the other side.
Well, I guess to clarify, I don't know that I mean that he's just going to be like screwed forever in his career if they keep him around. What I mean is there's going to be 0 meaningful progress in his game this year, would be the way I would put it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always interesting with quarterback development. It's like, obviously these guys, like I have no question in my mind, Brian Callahan, you can give him 0 credit. And I know at this point, most people would, right? You can give him 0 credit for anything that he's been a part of in terms of quarterback success, but he has seen it. He knows what it looks like. He knows what is done with those quarterbacks. And he's talked about, he's had guys that do things totally differently. But he's seen quarterback success with a variety of styles and at the highest level. Yep. And he's been part of it. I mean, again, does he get 0 credit for Joe Burrow? It's hard for me to believe that there's 0 credit for him. But regardless, he has been around it. So, like, I mean, I think he knows what it takes and knows the things to do I can't argue with it. I mean, these numbers are terrible. He's not as bad as the numbers, but it is. It's like a few plays a game. He had another one of those, evade rush, evade Will Anderson, throw it across the other side of the field with he's got a cannon arm. But I mean, I don't know. Was the pick on him yesterday? I mean, I think you need to catch that if you're Io Manor, but it also was still it was a little bit of a hot shot. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that they are developing him. I think it's a terrible situation. I would also, I mean, like I mean, it's not like there's anything going on with him at this point that would be like, see, that's why you can't mess with the situation. You got to have continuity. If you're gonna, if you're gonna do what the Bears have done. Bears gave him 1 year, and they got a new guy in there, and I mean, Caleb Williams looks a little better this year. I would say, but I just it's just hard. It's still hard to know because it's so bad. So what is bad around him? Like, is it the coaching? Is it just the talent around him? Play calling scheme? I mean, I think the scheme is fine.
I think the answer may just be yes.
Yeah. It's
a blanket yes.
So now you get into, well, I mean, look, I dunked on the idea, and I still do, because I think you play through stuff. I mean, if he gets hurt, then right. I'll change my answer. But do you sit him? Do you consider sitting him in some way? I'm seeing some of that on the text line.
Yeah, I'm not there. Like, we went through the numbers before the year, and Nick Suss came out with that piece at the Tennessean where it basically said play them. Like, it's basically what the takeaway was by the data was play these guys. It's not always that way. It doesn't mean you have to do it that way. But I mean, at this point, he's played 4 games. As long as he's healthy, I think he needs to be out there and he needs to be playing. But on the Callahan front, like, look, we all understand it's more complicated than this. But the bottom line is this guy was largely brought in because of his work with quarterbacks, right? Like, that's when you really boil it down, that's why he was hired, was to work with quarterbacks. And so far, like, the body of work is Will Levis and what that was last year, which was just an unmitigated disaster. And 4 games of Cam Ward that have been not good. And again, I'm not blaming Ward for that. There's a lot that's wrong around him, and he's had some moments where he's been good. But I haven't watched the Titans at any point under Brian Callahan and came away and thought, yep, quarterback guy, right? And that's literally why you hired it. And we're 21 games into it, and there's no sign of it. And to me, that's a huge problem.
Yeah. Now, as we talk big picture, you talk big picture, and again, Rand's gone, so the drafting of Levis has already come and gone. Again, everybody just calm down with the apologize. Levis is good. No, I mean, what you saw last year was Levis not being good enough. Like you don't have to revise history with Will Levis.
Yeah,
but this also is okay. So it's also the decision they made to go with Cam, which this show was against, because I just didn't think he had everything that you need to be a great NFL quarterback. I'm not saying I know that now. I mean, I quarterbacks in this league anymore. I mean, wake me up in like year 4.
Yeah.
And I'll see, and it's so many instances. It's like, oh, look how good he is. Oh my God, look how bad he is. Look how good I don't know. But that was a huge decision. And they could have made that trade with the Giants and be in a different situation. But you're right. If your biggest selling point is quarterback development, and right now it's looking like you're about to be a big fat 0 for 2, at least in 2 different seasons.
Yeah.
Again, it's just like everything keeps pointing back to this just isn't working.
Yeah, it's not working. And it's such a bad spot to be in for the owner. And look, this is her own doing. I don't feel bad for her, because a large reason of why they have gotten to this point where they are the worst team in the league is her and is some of the decisions that she's made. But I said it a couple weeks ago. Like, I worry, is she going to be too gun shy the other way, like afraid to fire somebody when it's clear that that's what needs to happen? Like, it's what needs to happen. And, Charles was texting us about this yesterday. I've seen it a few times on the text line so far. I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into it right now, but Jackson Dart immediately rolls out there for the Giants yesterday and beats the Chargers.
Right.
It's not connected with the Titans, but it doesn't help, right? Like when the next guy and the team that you were apparently involved in trade talks with drafts their quarterback, and he immediately just comes out there and looks pretty good, and they take down the Chargers.
Yeah, I got a YouTube chatter who's just absolutely the biggest Jackson Dart fan ever. Did not think we'd run into that today, but you just never know. But yeah, there's going to be comparisons. Someone on the Joey from Bellevue pointing out that Liam Cohen has 3. He has matched Callahan's career 3-win total here in 4 games with the Jags.
I'm good.
And they look like a competent offense. By the way, he's also talking trash to Robert Saleh. Hey man, I'd pick a fight with somebody. Did you see what Saleh said to him?
Yeah, I did.
Like, I'll end your life, bro. Like, I'll rip your spine out of your body. Like, dude, run away. But there's a guy who seems to know what he's doing, and he also, by the way, he had Baker in Tampa, and now he has a guy we know can play in Trevor Lawrence, and that's the thing we don't know with Cam Ward. The early signs are, I think with Cam Ward, I bet you right now with this fan base, there's a huge range of, I think, people so bad they want to believe in the rookie quarterback, right? I mean, people are holding on to hope with Levis, and then until you just have to look at reality. And I'm not saying that's coming anytime soon with Cam Ward, but right now, I think if you objectively look at it, he hasn't been good.
No, he is not. Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line. Welcome in Neil to the program. Neil, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey guys, at some point today, Joe, you're going to have to sing my hot garbage song. So,
hot garbage.
Okay, hot garbage. Brian Callahan is not the quarterback guru that everybody thinks he is. I go back and look at the teams he's been with. Well, for 2013, he worked with the Broncos. Who was their quarterback? Peyton Manning. Pretty sure he was good before he got there. Then he worked in Detroit. He was in Detroit. Stafford, pretty sure he was good when he got there. He was a quarterback coach in Oakland in 2018. Derek Carr was already established at that point, and then he worked with Joe Burrow, who was already good. So who is he? Who is he built up? Because Cam Ward does not look good. His footwork is terrible, and he can't make a decent throw normally. So that tells me everything that I need to know. He hasn't built a quarterback. I'm pretty sure he didn't build Peyton Manning.
I'm with you there. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate the call.
Yeah, no one said he did.
Happy birthday, Robbie. Mine's tomorrow.
Thank you, brother. Happy birthday to you.
Go leave us, baby. Let's balance this thing out.
That's right. I mean, Joe, that's not the first time we heard. I mean, look, some people talked about that when Callahan was hired, right? All right, well, how much credit do you give him for the quote unquote development of the quarterbacks?
No. Zero, but except Burrow. I mean, Burrow would be the one where you would hope there'd be some credit, but the point with those guys is just that he's seen it, right?
Yeah.
He's been around greatness. He's seen it. He's seen what it looks like. That should help you, but no one would. No, I don't think anyone in their right minds was trying to claim he had any hand in either of those guys' growth.
Peyton Manning. I was really struggling in my career. And then I finally got Brian Callahan around me, and career just kind of took off from there. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. A whole lot more coming on the Titans. We will get into the Vols and Vanderbilt a little bit in the next hour as well. So for those of you clamoring for that, we will do it coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning, live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. This is your show today. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. Joe, a new slogan for the Titans on the text line that I'm a big fan of. Loosen up. Get tighten up out of there. Loosen up.
There you go.
I'm here for it.
Not bad.
Look,
loosen up.
These are the things we have to resort to in the aftermath of a Titans game.
So tighten up with a low T and loosen up with a big fat L. Week after week. Well, I like it.
I mean, I was listening. I really enjoyed Ian's update there. It was like the Titans were shut out for the first time this year, and they did not get to the red zone. It's like, so they are shut out, and they did not even approach scoring a touchdown in this game down there in Houston.
Wait a minute. Wait. I don't think that's true. Is it?
I don't know that they
Sly missed a 33-yard field goal. Wouldn't that be from the red zone?
I don't know. I saw some tweets that they didn't make it to the red zone. I'll have to double check, but
if it was, I mean, I thought it was a 33-yarder. If it was from the
33. I thought it was 43.
I think it was 43. I don't think it was 33.
It was in the fours.
Oh, yeah.
I remember missed because I got him on my fantasy team. I was like, oh, that's a 4-pointer he missed.
So I guess you don't have to re-record it then.
I'll double check.
Yeah, I don't think they got the red zone. It's a tough one.
That's the thing is like, God. I mean, even when they did a few good things, then hey, we got this great kicker this year. This is gonna be way better, guys.
Yeah.
This is gonna be way better than the guy who never missed field goals. This dude can crush it. Great job, Titans. Yeah, it's awesome. Just like, again, it is reverse King Midas going on here, big time.
Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line. Welcome in Zach and Mount Juliet to the program. Zach, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, guys. Appreciate taking my call. Last night I was listening to Kaharski's post-game show on his Q&A, and one of the people brought up a very good question that I wanted to bring up on this show. They said, I didn't notice one person come on the O-line or anyone come to Cam Ward's defense and get in Azeez Al-Shire's face, who's a known dirty player in the league, after that dirty hit. As dumb as the dirty hit wasn't called, I find it crazy that no one on our team showed any backbone to even get in his face. The coach didn't get in the official's face about this. It just seems like we have no culture here. And it kind of reminded me of the time a while back whenever I think it was Richard Sherman laid a dirty hit on Mariota, and you saw Lewan immediately get in his face and come to the aid of his quarterback.
Yeah.
It just seems like from a culture standpoint and, tying into PK's question after there about the tough and relentless thing, it's like we just don't have any of that. And it's just, this is just rock bottom and bad. And as a fan, it's just kind of sad to see it.
Yeah. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate the call. Yeah, it's a good point. First off, the Al-Shire hit, Joe, I'm watching it in real time. I'm like, of all the flags that are thrown in football now, like all the times you guys throw flags, and you don't throw a flag on that one when the quarterback, almost gets decapitated out there. You don't throw a flag there, especially with that guy. Like, the officials know who hit him. Like, they know the reputation of that guy. And he didn't get a flag thrown on that play. And then to Zach's point, I guess nothing happened there. Let's head back to the huddle.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one of those plays where he's sort of isolated away from everyone. So, like, did those guys see it? Would be a question. Like, were the linemen all, I think, in front of him, right? So he's kind of isolated to the side and to the sideline. So I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm just saying it was one of those where it's like not right in your face as a lineman. So maybe you didn't even realize it happened. Now Jeff Simmons did because he was right there and
the sideline saw for sure.
Yeah, the sideline. Yeah. So I would I think that would have been a good time for someone on the sideline to be like give Al-Shire like a shove. And to your point, Robby, incredible. Everything gets. Tiny touches of the helmet get called. He two-hand just rocks him in the face. A guy who has a huge history of dirty hits, and it's complete. Not to take this title away from Kaharski, but just total Mr. Magoo with the officiating crew on that. Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, it was awful.
Insane.
It was awful. And again, you brush by the quarterback in the pocket, and your pinky makes contact with the ear hole of his helmet. They're throwing flags in this league now, and you don't call a flag on that. I just thought it was atrocious that way. And, you know, we wondered heading into the game, Joe, you got, I called it the stoppable force and the movable object last week, the Texans offensive line and how bad they had been to this point, and then the Titans pass rush trying to take advantage of that. I mean, I think Jeff Simmons like almost legitimately set a sack record in terms of like the quickness. I think it was like 2-point-something seconds on that one sack he had that got Stroud to the ground. That was pretty incredible. But on the whole, Joe, an offensive line that has been struggling, you come up with 2 sacks. Simmons got 1, Arden Key got 1, and 5 quarterback hits on Stroud, which, I mean, 5 quarterback hits for the Titans is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Against that offensive line, I don't know that I'd call it pretty good. Yeah. But for them and in general in any game, sure, take anything you can get. I noticed Arden Key a couple plays. Like, good for him.
Well, and
notice that he's on the field.
A big moment in the game too. You know, the Titans, there's some penalties in there, and it's 2nd and 33, and it's like, wow, look at the Titans defense. They're about to get off the field again here. 2nd and 33, and then Nico Collins, 12, torches 38 for a pickup of 37 to convert a 2nd and 33 in the National Football League. Like sometimes you'll see those long down and distances get converted because there's like a pass interference or something, and it makes you want to pull your hair out as a fan. But he just got toasted on that play. 37 yards right over the top of L'Jarius Sneed.
Total embarrassment. I mean, legit. You know, Skyler says, Joe, do you think Sneed knows who Nico Collins is now? Total embarrassment. And by the way, hey, I mean, even Brian Callahan yesterday after the game was like, well, you're talking. I guess that's what happened. I mean, if we have that clip, the subtext of this clip, Ian, if we have the clip of Brian talking about Sneed, you talk about a coach who's sick of a player. I mean, I know they just moved out Brownlee, but, you know, Sneed, so just as they said on the broadcast, on that play, 2nd and 33, I mean, Sneed is playing it like he doesn't know the coverage that they're in.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot play it that way in the coverage they're in, and he just gives up the play. And later, you know, was it Ross Tucker?
Yes.
Yeah. Later, they had Sneed completely botched a handoff that they were supposed to have, which was and gave up and Tucker's like, I don't want to blame Sneed, but and it was like, yes, man, you should, because it's absolutely him who blew that. Well, he is awful. He is so bad. And I'll raise my hand. I mean, even Callahan confirms that, you know, basically that he's talking. So I was wrong on that, and Sneed is just he is terrible. He is not. If you would think Brownlee's bad to have in this locker room, a guy with that little accountability,
good culture.
I know he has talent. Yeah, it's just terrible.
Good culture fit. Let's hear what Brian Callahan had to say yesterday on L'Jarius Sneed, not backing up the trash talk.
Coming into this game, you know, Jeffrey Simmons, he said the best players have to play better. You got a guy like Sneed who calls out, well, he gets himself going with the who when it's about Nico Collins, and you have that. Like, what can you do to get that back on track?
Yeah, I mean, those are this. You know, when you talk, you got to back it up. Didn't do that today. That's the decision the guy makes, and then he's got to live with that too. You know, that's on them. If they want to talk, then you got to back it up. And didn't do a good enough job of that today. That happens, but I don't know that that's. I mean, that's a personal thing for some guys. So
that was Callahan on L'Jarius Sneed.
I mean, that to me is a coach who's like, yeah, you know, like that's as close as he will ever come to ripping one of his players.
Let's head back to our phone line. Welcoming David in Portland to the program. David, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Morning, gentlemen. So I just wanted to talk about Amy and the Cam comment. What do you think? How do you think she feels about her $40 million franchise quarterback going viral for calling her product buns for FCC purposes? Buns.
You can say ass.
He called her product ass. I mean, how do you think that sits with her and Barkley and Kenneth and Susan Smith? Like, that's my question. How do you think that sits with them? And I'll hang up and listen.
I mean, I think they're well aware of it. that would be my answer. I think they are totally aware of how bad they are. Like, if you're asking if they're going to have a problem with Cam Ward, like voicing it after the game, my answer would be, if you're worried about that, you're worried. You got about a billion things you need to be worried about before you're worried about that after the game would be my answer.
Yeah. I mean, he was talking about the team and the team, he's talking about the specifically the football team, right? I mean, it's a little different. Now, if he said top to bottom, this organization is ass. And by the way, Amy, please buy me some grass. Then we'd really go viral.
There we go. 615-737.
And by the way, when I said I'm talking about grass on the field, by the way.
Yeah.
I smoke weed
let's clarify.
constantly.
I don't like the turf. Talking about the grass.
Boy.
He stepped in
Put
it
some
again.
grass on the field and roll it up for me.
615-737.
What everybody needs around here.
1025, our phone number. Coming up next, a move that if I'm a Titans player in that locker room, and I'm talking about one guy very specifically, it's the only thing on my mind right now. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
We got games ahead of us.
That's it, but why isn't this thing getting any better?
Because we're playing bad football. Simple. We're not playing good football right now. And I'm tired of hearing the same thing coming in the locker room. I mean, and I'm tired of saying it. We got to play better. I'm tired of saying that. It's like, this is the NFL. And they wanted more than us. They played like they wanted more than us. And we're not playing good football right now.
That's Jeff Simmons after the game yesterday. Titans lose 26-0 to the Houston Texans. We will get into Tennessee surviving at Mississippi State and Vanderbilt, Utah State coming up here in just a few minutes on the program. The Rob Rant coming up at 7:45. Corey Curtis at 8 o'clock. All those things ahead here on the program. Joe, if I'm Jeffrey Simmons, I'm demanding a trade sometime over the next couple of weeks. That's where this is just me. If I were him, I think he's been pretty good, pretty darn good to begin the year. Like one of the very few bright spots on the Titans to this point. And look, we've talked a lot about Simmons over the last couple of years, the contract, the way that he's played. And I would say it's been underwhelming the last couple of years. It hasn't been bad, but it hasn't been to the level that you've expected from him since he signed the contract. We know the story this offseason. He lost the weight. I think he's looked very good to this point. He doesn't have a whole lot of help out there, but I think he's been very good. And look, clearly, and you can hear it in his voice in that clip, and frankly, like every press conference every week with Jeffrey Simmons after the game, just kind of sounds like Groundhog Day at this point where he's talking about the same stuff, and I think he feels the same way of you're just talking about how many different ways this team finds to lose games. It's got to be wearing on him. And look, I have no doubt that he loves being here, and he has enjoyed his time as a Titan. But in the back of his mind right now, don't you think there's a little bit of it that's like, well, if we're this bad, maybe they'll ship me out of here and I can go somewhere where I've got a chance to win. If I was him, I'd be in the general manager's ear by the time the trade deadline comes around.
It's an interesting thought. And yeah, I 100% agree. He's got to be so sick of this. Look, say what you want about Jeff Simmons. And we've gone through some of the stuff he said, some of the stuff he's done. He does care. Losing bothers him a lot. I think he'd probably he'd go jump on it, be like a train jumper, get like one of those sticks with a knapsack and go jump on trains to New England right now if he could, and go play for Vrabel and Landry. Who, by the way, they looked pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, they did. It sets up well here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. No, I hadn't thought of it in terms of Jeff demanding a trade, but maybe it's worth, or at least, being like, hey guys,
you want to ship me out of here? Be my guest. I'll help you.
Don't forget old 98 when you're on the phone with people. I mean, this is obviously the biggest value. This is I have my doubts still that he can fetch a first. I feel like it's difference making edges, different positions where you could get a first. I'd like to know how many in-season trading deadline moves have fetched a first in NFL history.
I don't know.
Probably not many. I have my if you could get a first for him, then I think you absolutely have to do it if you're the Titans. And yeah, I'm sure he would love to go somewhere where he has a chance to win and not be in this vortex of poop.
Yeah, I mean, just at some point, all the losing just wears on you. And we know the record of Callahan, 3-18 now in 21 games as head coach. It's just absolutely brutal. And again, I think Simmons is like Simmons to me to this point in the season, Joe, has been what you probably hoped he would be, right? Like clearly dropping the weight that he dropped has worked out very well for him. I think it's done exactly what he wanted to do. He looks quick. He looks explosive out there. Problem is there's nobody out there with him that looks the same. Like he's on an island on this Titans defense right now.
Right. So you take him out for a pick, and now we can start talking about some of the worst teams of all time in NFL. You move a Simmons, you move a Snead. As someone on the text line was asking, what's his trade? I mean, Snead right now is, I don't think you're getting a lot, but that's another one of the possibilities along with Ridley. Then you can really you got a chance to be like as bad or right up there with among the worst ever. Craig says on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHigh.com, another show apparently yesterday said they couldn't trade Simmons because he's a borderline Hall of Famer. First of all, I don't understand the law. First of all, I'm dubious of the Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think he's I don't think he's a borderline Hall of Famer. I think he'd need a few more years of high level play to get into that discussion. But second of all, even if he was, why can't you trade him? Is the idea that he's like, because then he's like one of the franchise's great players or something like that. I mean, that's
No.
what an asinine. Brian Summers, if that was you, that's asinine. Let me know.
That cannot happen. Trevor says
that's a terrible take.
Trevor says Jerry Jones likes making questionable decisions. Maybe he'll get desperate enough to send a first. The Titans wait for Jeffrey Simmons. I don't know. And Jerry Jones' offense, apparently, greatest offense ever conceived.
Well, their defense could use a little help. I will say their
It
defense could use a little bit of help.
I don't know. From just a quick little research, last year was the first year in a long time that all teams kept their first round picks. So it sounds like they are traded more often than we think.
In season?
I don't know.
That's the whole thing, right? Like, obviously, there's a lot of
32
trades.
teams just combined to do something at the trade deadline that hasn't been done in 23 years. And that was keep all their first round picks. So not totally sure, but
yeah,
I will
do some digging, Joe.
Yeah, I'm hearing that, and I'm hearing 22 straight years where at least a first was. There's no way that's true.
maybe not at the deadline, but just
that's what I'm talking about.
Some point to the deadline. Yeah.
In the off season and all that, for sure. It seems to me. I mean, it's only been like the last few years that there's even been any trades at all at the deadline. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, I mean the deadline has definitely picked up the last few years. It used to be just a nothing burger out there.
Yeah. So interesting, but yes, I will do some research.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Corey Curtis from News 2 will join us at 8 o'clock. We'll get his thoughts on another Titans debacle yesterday in Houston. Coming up next, the Vols survive a scare in Mississippi, and Vanderbilt with a ridiculous letdown for me late in the game against Utah State. We'll get into all that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. DVD with Willie Donick, Derek Mason, and Adam Vingan will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circa Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall today, prior to the Monday Night Football games. Head up there, watch the Jets and the Dolphins and the Bengals-Broncos games. Plus, ask for about Circa's giveaway of a trip to Las Vegas for the Titans-Raiders game coming up in October. We'll have the Rob Rant here in just a few minutes. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. Joe, the Tennessee Volunteers get the win over the weekend, but it was by the little bitty hairs on their head that they got that win in Mississippi State. They win in overtime. So, Joe, the positive is you avoid the road stinker, disaster, whatever adjective you want to use there, that we have seen from Tennessee football over the past couple of years. I thought Joey Aguilar came up with some really clutch plays late in the game to tie the game. And then the first play of overtime, he handed off to Deshaun Bishop, and he scampers 25 yards into the end zone for the touchdown. Defense makes a stand near the goal line, and you walk out of there with a win. So obviously, Joe, getting the win is the most important thing, and Tennessee was able to do that. I did think there were several things in this game that were not good and that they've got to work on as they move forward here. So, like, for those who thought after the Georgia game that, wow, Tennessee looked pretty good against Georgia, and they're just going to mosey their way through the rest of the schedule here with the exception of maybe Alabama. I think we saw on Saturday that they're not a perfect football team and that they've got some problems at times. And I think you're seeing more and more as we get into SEC play. They need Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson back on the field. That's one of the problems that they've got. Overall, though, they do win the game, 41-34 in overtime. Your thoughts on what you saw from Tennessee and Mississippi State on Saturday?
I think that's a great eye of the beholder kind of game. I mean, I've saw some people who were like, they overcame all this stuff and got the win. That is just huge, I'm like, well, yeah, but what they overcame was a lot of their own ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
So you better clean that up. You're not going to be better teams. First of all, to your point on Georgia, we also keep getting more information. I mean, who the heck had Alabama winning at Georgia after what we saw week 1, right? I mean, so what does that mean? Does that mean Alabama all of a sudden is just a wagon that we thought they might be, or is Georgia kind of a mid team this year? I don't know. I mean, I've watched enough Georgia now to be a little bit dubious of them. But for Tennessee, you make so many mistakes. I mean, like Braylon Staley early in the game, it's like you muff the punt, you don't field another one, so it gets down at the 1. You drop a pass that's right there for you, like just him, and then on through the game. It was a beautiful mess of a college football game. Look, I mean, the way that they kept fighting back and making plays is good, and their defense, for all of its issues at times against a good team, a good offense. Like Mississippi State's not bad, man. Mississippi State's pretty good. Like they're not done winning. They are gonna get some people this year, for the defense to make the plays they did to score twice.
Yeah,
especially the strip sack when they had some tremendous pass rush at times. There's some encouraging signs. I think overall you take it, but there's a lot to get better. And once again, Robby, I mean, I'm sorry, but Josh Heupel and the clock,
it's horrific.
They are enemies, and it's really not good. Like, because it's just happened too many times.
He's horrible at clock management. And I said this Saturday night. For the most part, I really like Josh Heupel. I think he's done a really good job at Tennessee. So by no means am I suggesting that he needs to be in danger or anything, or like his job or anything. But he's horrible at clock management, and he has been the whole time since he's been there. Like, I'm not saying every single situation he's mishandled the clock when they needed to, but how many times have I yelled on this show about something before the half or at the end of the game where they just totally botched it with the clock management? It was brutal on Saturday night, and they're lucky to have overcome it.
Yeah, like I actually texted Ubben and I got in this big argument back in, I think it was Heupel's first year. Was that the game at Florida where in the I think at the end of the half, or it was like mind-numbing how bad the clock management. And Ubben's like, no, that's how you do it with that offense. I'm like,
No.
man, I get that. Like, you are built for those moments. So if you can go boom, fast, go, great. But sometimes it's like, yeah, you can't lose those 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Just take the time out, then line up and run a play.
Yeah.
It's asinine. So the other night I texted up, I'm like, you better acknowledge this now, man. And he was like, yeah, that was bad. I mean, it was just, so there's that going on. I agree with Texter Remington, who says everybody talking about the bad, but what about how clutch Joey football was in the game time drive? I agree. It was
good.
He was good, man. And ultimately the trajectory of this team, I still have confidence and optimism starting with him. And again, Staley had a rough one. The OPI was a bad call on Matthews. It's like we see the slow-mo up close and it's really bad. I mean, when I watch it in real time, I was like, oh, maybe he did show him. Then you watch slow-mo and you're like, oh my God, that's atrocious. I mean, like, refs are going to make mistakes sometimes because they don't get the slow-mo from this angle, right? But still, it was a bad call. But Brazel he's a monster. And ultimately, I still, Sanders is playing now. You get those corners back. I think there's more cause for optimism, certainly, right now than pessimism.
No, I would agree. I mean, and you're 4-1, and your offense, and I know Saturday wasn't specifically offense when you're talking about 2 touchdowns from the defense, but you're finding a way to get into the 30s and the 40s and sometimes beyond that every game. So you're feeling good about the, the point totals that you're putting up. You look at the rest of the schedule. We'll see what happens now with Arkansas, that they fired their coach, and if they get some sort of bump from that in a couple of weeks. But after that, it's at Alabama. My guess is John Mateer probably back at quarterback for Oklahoma by the time you play them later in the year. So there's still a couple of really big tests that Tennessee's going to have later in the year out there.
Bobby Petrino, he's coming for you, Vols.
I did think about
got that motorbike warmed up for you. So just be ready.
First picture I saw yesterday after they fired Sam Pittman was the picture of Petrino in the neck brace. I was like, here we go. He's back.
Like, if they quickly, I mean, this could almost be worth a rant in some way. Like, if they seriously consider making him the full-time head coach, they are the joke. I know we have some Arkansas fans on here. I hope you understand that you will be the absolute joke of college football, and should be, if you really consider giving him the job. But Caleb asks, why was Staley returning punts? He hasn't done that all year. I think after the first one, because obviously Boo Carter has been in that role. I don't remember what did Heupel say about that after the game.
Well,
say anything about that?
He didn't name anything. He was asked about it. I mean, he didn't say anything specifically about it. But I mean, Boo Carter, the 2 weeks before that, fumbled 2 punts. That's why.
Right.
That's why he's back there. It's because Boo Carter couldn't hold on the ball.
They're searching.
Yeah. Now, I think what you have to weigh if you're Heupel is Boo Carter, when he does catch the ball, is probably one of the most electric punt returners in college football. So how do you weigh? I understand, like, the first thing you got to do is catch the ball. And if you can't do that, then you're not serving much purpose back there as a punt returner. But after the first one from Staley, I would have probably been like, yeah, why don't you just go ahead and put Boo Carter back out there?
Yeah, exactly. Or somebody.
Take somebody.
A safe person who will catch the ball, or understand that, like, you can't let the ball bounce at like the 15 and keep rolling when you easily could have picked it up on one hop. It's just bad. It's a guy who just shouldn't be returning punts. That's what I saw in the first quarter.
Vanderbilt takes down Utah State, a ridiculous backdoor cover from Utah State on the spread.
Woo, baby.
Hands me another L and picks.
Gives me a lock.
Really good stuff there. But Vanderbilt gets it done. They take care of the business, 55-35, the final on Saturday over at Vanderbilt, which means Vanderbilt is 5-0 heading into Alabama next week. So what a matchup that is going to be, and we'll have plenty of time later this week to talk about that. But, Joe, you got game day coming next week to Alabama for Vanderbilt. It's going to be a big environment there. Vanderbilt offensively looks good again in this game. What did you make of Vanderbilt and their takedown of Utah State, setting up a highly anticipated game next week against Alabama?
Well, I guess we can also eye beholder this one. I watched that defense, and then I watched Alabama, and I thought to myself, this does not look like a good matchup for the Vanderbilt defense on Saturday. Their defense has flaws. So that's worth keeping in mind. I also got a text during the game from our friend Stilly, who asked me, "Is Vanderbilt have the best offense in college football?" Which I hadn't thought about in those terms, and that's lofty. But I must say, their offense is legit. The speed everywhere, clean pockets, and again, have they played great teams? No, but they've played some. I mean, there's pros on that South Carolina team that they played and kept Pavia clean. So it's overall, it's very exciting for Vanderbilt. You know, again, you got a great home environment. You just blow out a team. Yes, defensive issues, but Robbie, I mean, one thing that I know has never happened. I don't have to look it up. You know, Vanderbilt's had game day before because like in the Franklin era, I think they had one, right? I promise you 100%. Vanderbilt has never been the visiting team on a game day.
That's probably true.
Because you don't do that. Like you don't go to some, great teams games for them to blow out some team like a homecoming game. Like everybody has used to Vanderbilt going to Alabama. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's Vanderbilt being the road team on a game day. Like to me is like, dang, man.
I'm with you. That has to be the first time. Has to be
100%.
Yeah.
There's 100%. So it's pretty cool, and I'm excited about the game this week. But like they are going to have to, they're going to have to score a ton of points. We're going to see if there's that offense, if it's that good, can they go into Bama, which wants revenge, which has all this momentum. We said last week, I don't think this is the best scenario for Vanderbilt. I think they'd rather have a down bad Alabama all screaming about Kalen DeBoer than, oh crap, we are good.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great. Because they're not going to overlook Vanderbilt anyway because of last year. But I think their offense can do some stuff Saturday. It's going to have to do a lot.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll have the Rob Rant coming up next. Corey Curtis from News 2 will be with us at 8 o'clock. We'll get back into the Titans with him. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
Drop trowel. I'm going to stick this in your ass.
We need this team to win.
Ass is absolutely, it is all out ass today.
Oh, my God. My ass is burning.
Did I talk to Michael?
Micah. Top to bottom, this organization is ass. And by the way, Amy, please buy me some grass.
Losing's really not in my vocabulary.
Do you know your elbow from your ass? We ass.
Am I a clown to you, Mike?
All right. Thank y'all. God bless.
It is that time of the day. The Rob Rant here on the program, brought to you by Functional Medicine of Tennessee. Rise up to better health. Check them out at functionalmedicineoftennessee.net. Joe, it's a common word on this program from you.
I just hope like the FCC doesn't have some obscure rule. It's like 36 asses equals one F-bomb, and we're all fired.
I hope not to. I have a multi-pronged approach to the rant today. So let me start on this, Joe, because I feel like this has basically turned into an annual tradition here on the show. So I might as well just go ahead and get it out of the way here on September the 29th. I am so just absolutely beside myself with targeting in college football. It is the absolute worst. And the fact that it's 2025 and we're still operating under a system with targeting that just tosses people out of the game left and right is amazing to me. And we haven't had anybody in college football yet that's had enough common sense to say, hey, why don't we tier this thing? Just like the NBA that we've talked about a billion times here on this show. Flagrant one, you get a 15-yard penalty, but guess what? You don't get kicked out of the game 2 minutes into the second half if you're an Alabama player and have to miss the entire first half of the game next week. Like, it's just so dumb that we're still operating under this system. Get a flagrant one targeting in there and a flagrant two. And if the flagrant two, if you look at it and you say, yeah, that guy was out there headhunting and was trying to take the dude's head off and lowered the crown of his helmet into the skull of his opponent on purpose, trying to hurt him, then kick him out of the game and make sure the punishment lasts until halfway through next week if it's in the second half as well. But the fact that in college football, with everything going on right now and NIL and all these things and all the changes that are being made on a day-by-day and year-by-year basis in the sport, that they have still not gotten smart enough to change the targeting rule where there's a flagrant one, flagrant two system or some sort of tier to it is absolutely incredible to me. And there are calls every week where you look at it and you've got a rules analyst, commentators, and everybody debating back and forth over whether a play is even targeting or not, and nobody can figure it out, and yet they're calling it and kicking people out of the game. It's the stupidest thing going on in sports right now, the targeting rule in college football.
No, I think you've been on this for a while, and I really like the tiered idea. There's a lot of incidental targeting, which is okay, letter of the law, but again, so many of those are like guys running, you're running, you twist your body one way, and you're not expecting the runner to do something else, and all of a sudden, oh, well, technically that's targeting. That should not be an ejection. And then meanwhile, I'm sure you saw it, like, I'm watching Penn State, Oregon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that not the most blatant targeting? And everybody's like, no, he's not defenseless, and it's not exactly in that radius of the helmet. I'm like, he just smashed his head against the dude.
I know.
Okay.
Like, we're eventually going to have to get a protractor out there and start keeping up with what's the radius, what's the exact strike point. Like, it's just so dumb.
Yeah, they've made it way too ridiculous. It's like the catch in the NFL is another infuriating thing that's been going on for a long time. But like, this is, to your point, like, this really alters games to take a kid out of a game for some of these things that are so that again are just technicalities basically.
Oh, again, and some of them are bad,
keep
right?
fighting the good fight.
Yeah, like some of them are bad fouls,
yeah.
and you look at it and you're like, yep, well, that's about as targeting as it gets, and it's a dangerous play. And maybe even there's a little bit of intent there too. Kick him out. Like, I have no problem with that. Kick him out. But we've got to have a little bit of common sense in this stuff here. It is entirely too punitive to have that play, like the Alabama play the other night. 23, and I forget his name for the life of me, comes flying into the play. There's a pile up at the line of scrimmage, comes flying in, and his head makes contact to a running back who, by the way, is lowering his head and the shoulder at the same time. It just happens to collide at the side. And it was like, what? I don't know, 3 minutes into the second half. So that kid misses the entirety of that half and the entirety of the first half next week. It's just it's ridiculous. And like, there's no difference between that and somebody gets a targeting with a minute left in the fourth quarter. And it's like the same. It's just dumb. It's all stupid. And they got to get that part of it figured out. My other part of this, now that I've gotten successfully refired up about targeting.
There we go.
What a disaster of a performance by the U.S. team at the Ryder Cup. I won't spend a whole lot of time on this because it's golf. And I ain't talking about golf a whole lot on Monday. I love golf. I know most of you don't care, so it's fine. But, you had the comeback that was almost amazing yesterday, but it was just preceded by such an absolute dud of a Friday and Saturday by Team USA. You got people in the crowd yelling all sorts of things at Rory McIlroy and apparently Rory McIlroy's wife and kid and all these things. Like, it was just, people are throwing beer. People are fist fighting each other in the stands. Like, it was kind of a disaster of a weekend.
God.
Now, congratulations to Team Europe. They played great. Team golf. Yesterday was fun because the Americans did mount a charge, and it was fun to see, JT and Bryson and Scotty Scheffler and all these guys come out and play really well yesterday. It was just too late, but really poor showing on Friday and Saturday by Team USA. It was looking like it was going to be one of the worst showings in the history of team sports for the United States for the first 2 days. And they at least battled back and made it less embarrassing. But some of the behavior this week, like Rory McIlroy, you could tell, it really bothered him. And he was getting after people in the crowd. And Shane Lowry was getting after people in the crowd. And I realized, when you're playing in an environment like that, there's some level of heckling that you're going to have to deal with. But when you're talking about somebody's wife and kids, particularly when they're there in the crowd watching, that's not good. Got to be a little bit better than that.
I mean, that's pathetic. Is this like Coach O's influence? Is Coach O the one?
I don't know. Coach O did not rein it in. I don't know where he was throughout
Coach
all
O
this.
he was like, hey, act just like LSU fans act during a night game. Get that drunk and then do that stuff. And I'll bring a tiger I can unleash on the Europeans.
Yeah, exactly. Just good stuff there from Coach O. I mean, I wonder if Coach O stayed around the whole weekend. I know he was there for the practice round, but he may have left after he saw how bad it was going on Friday and Saturday.
Maybe he could have, deterred some of that behavior, I guess.
He could have. I mean, there's all sorts of ways I could go. I mean, I could rant about SEC officiating too, because frankly, I was watching the Vanderbilt game. I thought the Vanderbilt game was horrifically officiated. I mean,
that punt.
It's just awful. I don't even know I've never seen anything like that. You got the offensive pass interference with Chris Brazzell, which I'm with you. I mean, I guess if it's bang, bang there, you're trying to make a judgment call in the moment. But to me, if you're throwing an offensive pass interference penalty on a touchdown pass, you better be pretty freaking sure that it's offensive pass interference. It's brutal.
Yeah. I mean, the DB fell down like he got shot or something, that's the thing. So the ref's running in front of him, but you still shouldn't make an assumption, which is what he did, And then of course we see that side view and it's like, oh my God, that is atrocious. And that, that's one of those plays that if that call is for all the Vols issues, if that call isn't made, then that game might not be all that interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge one call can change a game completely. And speaking of bad officials, let's give the ACC guys credit because, and I've seen some Wake fans say this, and I agree. If this was a different program, there might be more screaming about it. They got screwed on an obvious offsides call on Georgia Tech, which if they throw the flag, they run the clock out and they finish that game and they end up losing in overtime. That's just how can you as an official miss that call? It wasn't like he was, if anybody watches the replay, sometimes guys move and it's like, did they cross the line? I don't know. He was way past the line. This is utterly unacceptable.
College football officiating is just awful. And there's too much money involved in all of it for it to be this bad. That's the bottom line. There's too much money involved in the whole thing for the officiating to be this bad.
It's one of the biggest reasons that college football does need to be consolidated with, a commissioner or whatever you want to call it, and have uniformity. because these leagues do whatever they want to do and they pay what they pay and all this stuff, and it's just garbage. They need to pool their resources and pay these officials really, really good salaries and deter all the gamblers who I guarantee you are contacting a whole bunch of officials who officiate college football. It's insane.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Corey Curtis will be with us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans' loss to the Texans. Was that the game that gets Brian Callahan fired? More on that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Monday morning. Titans lose 26-0 to the Houston Texans yesterday. And to help us talk more about that, we head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Corey Curtis from News 2, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Corey, good morning. How are you?
I've had a bad week.
Yeah. I heard you weren't feeling the best.
No, that's the topper. That's the topper. First, I took my cat to get spayed and spent $500, only to have them open her up and find out, what is that? Only to find out she had no reproductive system.
Wow.
And then I tore my meniscus, and then I got sick, and then I watched her Tigers.
Good grief! What a week.
Yeah, that's a bad week.
That's not good.
Two things saved it: the Bears field goal block and the Packers clock management in overtime.
Yeah, really good stuff. Really good stuff on all fronts. Awesome. Really glad I stayed up till midnight last night to watch all that too.
Did you believe that last 10 seconds?
No, I mean, it's really lucky there's not a hole in my drywall. What all went down in the last 10 seconds there. But hey, tie. Everybody showed up and no winner. Might as well just not even played last night. Good stuff on that front. Speaking of teams that might as well not have played, the Titans showed up in Houston yesterday and did not score any points. 26-0, the final from Houston. So, I mean, Corey, at this point, it's a weekly tradition talking about a Titans loss. I feel like they're getting worse, which is, I think, factors into the Brian Callahan discussion here of like, it's one thing to lose. It's another thing to not be getting any better. And frankly, to be showing that you're getting worse and not improving. And I wonder, Corey, if yesterday was the game that does it for Brian Callahan as head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and could we see some news in the next day or two?
Yeah, it's a legitimate question. You look at that game, and it was not good in any way. So don't take what I'm saying as wrong. But if you make the two field goals in the first half, which you should make, it's a 6-6 game, and it's a considerably different game. But being outgained on the time of possession, what was it, 38-22? Just because you couldn't stay on the field offensively. They committed fewer penalties, they gave up fewer sacks. Those were all good things, but they really don't matter if you don't make any plays.
Yeah, and
they don't make any plays. They string two nice run plays in a row, and then they run a flea flicker reverse that loses 5 yards on first down. And some of the tough stuff is tough to handle. And it's another game that was 6-0 going to the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fourth quarter the defense runs out of gas, and there you go. I mean, I'm glad to see Cam Ward get upset. He should be upset. Everybody should be upset. But as he says, there's only 53 guys who can do something about it. And the coaching staff as well, of course. But I think the main question you asked there is, is this the game that did it? The big question I have was, did Cam Ward get better Sunday?
That would be no.
And that's the most damning answer for Brian Callahan and the staff, because as we said all along, this season was all about Cam Ward, and the whole reason to stay with the coaching staff and the cohesiveness of it is, the development of your young quarterback. But if he's not developing, then that argument flies out the window.
Not that there's any evidence, like you guys just said, to really suggest that he is, but I think at some point toxicity can overrule even that as a plan. I mean, I just like I come in today, Corey, and I'm out of reasons that they shouldn't fire him or that they won't. I mean, I think it's just a matter of time. Do you have any argument to put forth for why they should not?
No, other than they don't want to pay two staffs, financially. I mean, you can't argue with the results. I mean, 10 losses in a row, worse. I mean, you are the worst offense in the NFL.
Yeah,
the worst. Your first pick of the draft is averaging slightly over 100 yards a game passing. You've had 3 tough assignments defensively. There's no doubt about it. But again, you're allowed to get better. You're allowed to get better. And I'm sure they could pick out things as they say, well, this was better, and this was better, and this was better. You're on the field for 22 minutes. You can't stay on the field. And that's not to say, look, the quarterback can play better. There's no doubt about that. There's throws that he needs to make that he's not making at times. But again, that's the development of the quarterback. And I don't want to bring Will Levis into this conversation because I don't want to compare the 2 quarterbacks, but the thought was that he would get the most out of Will Levis, and Will Levis got worse. And I'm not saying Cam Ward is getting worse, but he's not getting better, and that's the most troubling thing.
What did you make of L'Jarius Sneed trying the old trash talk routine with Nico Collins last week? And then getting burned on the 2nd and 33 for a nice game of 37.
What did he tell TK? When he asked him about the play, and he was like, well, did you see the rest of is that the only play you saw?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, dude, it was one of the biggest plays of the game. It was 2nd and 33. I mean, you got to get the ball back there. I mean, that's pretty much the same as a turnover. Yeah. Pretty much. Because you should be getting the football. And not only do you not get the football, you give up points. And you give up points, against the guy who you said you didn't even know who he was. And that's embarrassing. And that whole thing was embarrassing. Really, I mean, I get Nico Collins responding. He's too good of a player to be disrespecting like that. But you're both 0-3. And by the way, the Texans are bad. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch that game and thinking, wow, this is a good team. I can't believe they're 0-3. I watched them. I go, wow, I know why they're 0-3.
Exactly.
They can't stop the Titans' pass rush. They are in trouble. I mean, they are in. It's going to be a long year for them unless they get something figured out.
No, I agree. I mean, look, today we got Colts and Jags fans, and I know the Colts, boy, whew, that's a tough one. But they should be 4-0.
Yeah,
because they were out playing the Rams for a lot of the day on the road. Like the Colts and the Jags are. I mean, it's 4 games, but I think they're flat out both better than the Texans, which is
absolutely,
stunning.
Yes.
Which is
stunning. It's what we always talk about, Joe. They're better in the trenches. They're better in the offense, especially the Colts. They're better in the offensive line, and we saw it for years here. The Titans may not have been very good at times, but their offensive line always gave them a shot in games, and their offensive line does not now. But the Colts offensive line is the best in the AFC South, and it's probably why they're going to win, the division. To me, them being 3-1 is not near as big of a surprise as the Jags being 3-1, but that might just be my disrespect for Jacksonville.
That might be your Duval love.
Look at Liam Cohen taking on the defensive coordinator there.
Yeah, he might want to think twice about that.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, maybe. You know what? Liam Cohen, maybe yell at a guy like Nick Holtz or something. Do not take on Robert Saleh. He's going to remove organs from your body.
Nick Holtz just catching strays. Yep. Wow.
I'm just the first guy who came to mind where it's like that would be more like Liam Cohen. Like that would be a nice slap fight.
Well, at least in that scenario, Nick Holtz would do something.
Bo Hardegree's is pretty thin.
Yeah.
Good point. We've resorted to let's have some coach fights.
Oh, why
let's
not?
have some coach fights around here.
Why not?
Well, we had Vrabel, and when the team wasn't good, we always said, well, what if we just have the coach fight the other coach?
Exactly.
Except for when they play the Lions. That one might be a death match.
So, Corey, Cam Ward, 10 of 26 for 108 yards yesterday. It's 4.2.
40%.
Not good. Yeah, it's just not good. A quarterback rating of 35.4. And look, I'm trying to be as measured as possible in the Cam Ward discussion because, number one, he's a rookie. It's 4 games in. And the situation around him from the roster to the coaching staff is complete and total crap. So I don't want to sit here and act like I'm just throwing shade at Cam Ward. However, his numbers through the first 4 games are bad. Like the numbers are not good. You're 51.2% completion percentage. He's 4.9 per attempt, which is not a good number. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. So what are you seeing from Cam Ward right now? How concerned argue about the first 4 games of his career.
Well, look, he's a rookie. It's not all going to be perfect. You know, Jaden Daniels' rookie year doesn't grow on trees. All right, that one doesn't happen. A heck of a lot. Go look at Matt Stafford's first couple of seasons. You know, he was hurt most of them, but they weren't great either. And I'm not sitting here saying, but I'm saying I'm not going to panic because of it. I did expect better. I mean, I'm going to say that unequivocally that I expected better. And there are passes that, you know, you would like to see completed. And then there are passes where they just don't even look like they're anywhere near on the same page. I mean, he had a couple of out throws yesterday that weren't close. And I don't know if the receiver's in the wrong spot or if he's thrown it to the wrong spot. I don't know. I don't think the protection was that terrible yesterday. Do you?
No, not compared to what I thought it might be.
Expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought he was going to run for his life, and you know, I heard some people on the radio afterwards saying, "Oh, they're going to get him killed." I mean, he only got sacked twice. You know, I'll take that. That's 34 sacks in the season. That's not a terrible number. But you know, like, the ball to Iamaner, you know, is it because he thought Iamaner was going to sit on that spot, or is it because he didn't set his feet and he just flung it out there and, you know, like a missile and it bounced off his hand? That's the ball I want to see completed. I guess is the bottom line. I mean, he's open. I want to see that completed. You know, you go back to the pick 6 last week. Have you guys watched that play again?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got Iamaner wide open in front of him in the middle of the field. And so, you know, and look, I don't play that position, and I don't ever attest to be good enough to play that position. It is the toughest position to play in all of professional sports. That's why getting a good one is so valuable, because it is so impossibly, as a Chicago Bears fan, it is so impossibly hard to fill. Okay. It is very tough. But, you know, he's played a lot, you know, since he was 5 years old. He's, you know, played a lot in college. And, you know, I know it all happens faster at this level without question, but there are passes that you'd like to see get completed. And, you know, the one that was picked off yesterday is one of them. I don't think it makes a difference in the ball game. It's like, you know, the blow to the head that mysteriously doesn't get called.
Amazing.
I'm still trying. Like, I don't care what game I'm watching. That's a penalty. All right. If the Titans do that to somebody, if the Bears do that to somebody, that's a penalty. All right. And he's a dirty player to begin with. That's a penalty. So I don't understand how. I mean, that might result in 7 points getting put on the board. Again, they're not the better team, but you'd like to see the game called the way it should be called.
Yeah, I mean, that's a roughing like in like 2002. Like,
how
do they miss that one? That's insane.
They changed the rule to being struck in the head with force. Well, there was force there.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question about it.
That's what that was.
That was the all-star wrestling move. That was like Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
So, Corey, I agree with both of you guys. You know, like, the protection was better than I expected. I mean, Dan Moore did make Danielle Hunter look like a Lawrence Taylor on one play.
He did.
I mean,
but
Danielle Hunter
you know,
does have
overall,
100 sacks in his career.
Sure. He's up there. He's getting a little older, but yeah, I mean, it's a good pass rushing team. But is there any, like, would you look at this situation and think about Cam Ward's long-term development? And again, it looks like he's going to be, you know, dealing with a new everything next year. Like, is there any argument to be made to sit him down?
Oh, wow. Like, if you thought you were going to get him hurt, I think that would be about it. But that's a terrible message to send your team. You know, like, if he was hurting, like if he had like a mild knee sprain and he was playing through it, I could see shutting him down. But he's healthy, and if he's healthy, he can play just like the rest of them can play. And so, you know, I know you don't want him to develop bad habits, but I mean, are you gonna operate your team as if your coaching staff can't coach? I guess is my question. I mean, you have to trust the coaching staff to coach him and to coach him out of some of the bad habits he might develop in some of these situations. You know, it's really boring with the Nick Saban thing of stick to the process. They've got to stick to the process right now. But the thing that I emphasize is, and I know he's talked about it, but I don't think he's done it all the time, is doing the boring. He needs to be able to make that boring check down throw on first down to get 5 yards. and just be willing to accept that play. He has gotten more willing to accept incomplete. But, it's just reinforcing a lot of the footwork, a lot of the take the easy throw on first down, keep the ball moving forward, put us in second and third and reasonable. Because if they're in third and 4, he can run or throw for the first down. I think the only 2 first downs they got yesterday were on his scrambles on a third down. But, when you're in third and short, you put yourself in that situation. So I think that's one of the biggest things that they need to reinforce with him, and he needs to accept is doing the boring part first.
Well, Corey, great stuff. We hope that this week for you is insanely better than last week was for you.
Yeah, that stupid cat. I'm going to change your name to Pat.
And then you had to watch the Titans on top of all of it. Just insult to injury.
Pat the cat.
Well, I hate to say, and maybe this is a damning statement. I didn't see anything yesterday I didn't expect.
Yeah, I think, and doesn't that kind of tell you where things are?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the number one. In any of these 4 games, did you ever feel like the Titans had a chance to win?
No.
Were you like, man, they can win this thing?
No.
Well, I mean, Denver, they should have.
Well, but you still felt like they were going to find a way.
No, I mean, I didn't think they ultimately would, but I mean, it's like,
well,
Denver
was
trying to give them the game. Denver tried really hard to let them win that game.
They were in the game with the Rams going into the fourth quarter. They're in the game with the Texans going into the fourth quarter, but they don't make the plays to win the game. I mean, Jeffrey. By the way, Jeffrey Simmons was outstanding yesterday. I said going into the game to have any chance, he had to be the best player on the field, and you could argue he was the best player on the field yesterday.
Yep. And they lost 26-0. It just kind of shows you where they are. Corey, thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
All right, you guys have a delightful day.
Same to you. Same to you.
The Bears are now just a tick behind the 2 1-1 Packers.
A lot of work to do.
Maybe that tie gets you into the playoffs.
Maybe so. A lot of work to do. Really exciting stuff. Corey Curtis brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. We'll react to what Corey had to say coming up next. Take your thoughts on the Titans. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode. 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. Titans fall 26-0 at the hands of the Houston Texans yesterday. And, Joe, we could go into the ins and outs of the game and how bad the offense looked and dissect, what happened on third down and with the pass rush and all these things. Or we could let the quarterback just sum things up of what he thought and what he's seen from his team to this point through 4 games of the NFL season. Here's what Cam Ward had to say about the Titans after the game yesterday.
What's not going right for this offense where you guys just can't get on track?
Everything from interception to a penalty to an incompletion by me, a bad ball. And then once we pass the 50, we just not continuing the drive. So, I mean, we keeping the buck right now. We 0-4. We have this one. We got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in, especially myself on the offensive line, from the defensive line, from the special teams to all 3 faces. We have to play together. We have not played together this year yet, and that's just something that we want to preach about it every day. Every day we got to do better. And we're doing that, but it has to show up on Sundays. It hasn't showed up yet, but it got to show up next week.
Cam Ward upset after the game yesterday, Joe, and I don't blame him. 0-4 to start the season. Offense can't get a thing done out there. And look, I don't want to excuse his part in this because we're going to get into Cam Ward here in just a few minutes. Like, it hadn't been very good so far. It's had some moments where he's had some great plays, but it hadn't been very good on the whole so far. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but a little bit of frustration boiling over from the quarterback yesterday after an 0-4 start.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the best thing about the entire day for the Titans is Cam Ward saying "we ass," creating T-shirts and giving us an opportunity today to say "ass" more than any show has ever said that word in the history of shows and ass. But perfect summation of what they are. I mean, that's exactly what they are, and he is fed up. And in all seriousness, that was like the highlight of the day for the Titans because he's at least pissed off and is sick of it. And someone on the YouTube chat, this is a good point. Jacob is like, I love the shots of Cam's dad every game. He's a perfect representation of all Titans fans. He looks miserable. He did. Even when he made some good plays yesterday and they showed, and I'm sure it's like that's a parental thing, like, right, you're all nervous, but he still was just like, oh, whatever.
They're so screwed. He had so much hope, Cam's dad did in the Denver game. Like you could see, like he's living and dying with every play, and now he's already been worn down by the Titans 4 games in. He's just like, I know we have no chance right now.
Yeah, look. I came up with the term. Maybe I didn't come up with it. Who knows? Someone came up with it. I used it a lot over the years, and the term is lionized. You could tell when someone's been when the Lions would just take whoever and they would be lionized. And it just and right now, like Cam has been titanized in a month, and he's like, my God, this is bad.
Yeah, that's good.
Or Titan-sized.
Yeah.
I said Titanized, but Titan-sized could work too.
There you go.
With a low T.
Yeah.
But no, I mean he's fed up, and good for him. I mean the problem is, and by the way, I'm not suggesting that they should sit him. I don't think they should. I think they should let him because again, I'm not saying he's Matthew Stafford, not far from it. But there's a guy who somehow avoided getting lionized because he was good enough.
Right.
And he actually turned them into a team that could make the playoffs and stuff. I mean, that's what you hope with Cam Ward. It's just that right now, for all that's going bad around him, is also like he makes a few plays that are like, woo. But again, Will Levis can do that too.
Yeah. Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Gil to the program. Gil, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
What's going on?
Good.
Yeah, well, shit. I'm glad.
Well, we lost Gil here on the program.
Hey, let's swear right away.
Just immediately.
Remember, guys, Cam Ward said ass, and this is a word we can say.
There are other words that we cannot.
We can't say other words.
Yes,
that's right.
Keep it calm.
Please help us out.
Help us out. Phone line out there, please. We understand the Titans are frustrating. Joe, on the Callahan front, and we're going to get into his exchange with PK here in just a few minutes on the show. But you can tell frustrations getting to him. They've lost 10 games in a row dating back to last year. They're 3-18 with him as head coach. It's a shutout loss in Houston. I think there are a lot of Titans fans expecting that's the tipping point, and that Brian Callahan at some point this week is going to be relieved of his duties as a coach. We'll see. I'm not discounting that as a possibility. That's what I would do. But as I said to begin the show, Joe, I said last week I'm done with Callahan. They need to move on from Callahan. But I have been able to listen to the argument of, well, what good does that do you right now? Like, it's week 3 in the season last week. You don't see coaches get fired this early into a season. Like, what positive comes from firing Brian Callahan? Which I think it's a good point. Like, it's a fair argument to make. It is now shifted on the Callahan front to me of, you're going to have to start telling me what the positives are to keep him. Like, you're going to have to start telling me what makes sense and what's good about him hanging around over the next few weeks. Because Joe, I see a team that is getting worse, not better, a team that is not improving, a team that has a lot of toxicity around them right now. And I think you're seeing frustration boil over in the post game. I think you're seeing it at the end of the actual games where they're just phoning it in out there. And I think this has the opportunity to be a really negative thing. And the biggest thing is, I don't see any improvement in Cam Ward. Like, I don't think Cam Ward's getting better. I don't think he's being developed. And if you're not developing Cam Ward, you're of no use if you're the head coach of this team right now. So I've been able to listen to, well, what good does it do to fire the coach right now? I would agree with you. It doesn't do a whole lot of good. I don't know what good keeping him around right now is doing either, though, and that's a huge problem.
Yeah, I think the onus has shifted now. The onus is, and I was more on that side a week ago, but I think the onus has shifted to the point where I really don't want to hear media around here talking about, well, tell me what good is it going to do. Tell me what good it's doing to keep him, because at some point negativity snowballs to a certain size where it's like you just have to do something to change up the vibe, and we're about there with him and everything. I understand that Kaharski came up with an interesting way to try to provoke him yesterday, reading signs in the building. But he also is, like, you can see it with him with those interactions. And we asked the question earlier in the year, Robbie, about, okay, what does that do in your locker room when you botch things as badly as he has? Like someone pointed out the text that day, hey, didn't have a lot of penalties, didn't have any big coaching things yesterday. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yeah, and they still lost 26-0. But I think maybe we're seeing a little bit of the answer, and how this team performs. And again, I hate the whole idea of playing for a coach or not playing for a coach, but having confidence that your coach is competent is important. And again, the negativity gets to the point where now it's like, tell me what is important or why it's beneficial to keep him, unless you think that there's still any chance that he can save himself and he'll be the coach next year and he is going to develop Cam Ward. I think it's hard to judge Cam Ward development right now. Just, it's not good, but again, it's a terrible team. So it's like, are they working with him on the correct things, on his footwork, on all the stuff that, like, these coaches all copy each other and do all the same stuff? I mean, I'm sure. You have a terrible team and he can't find any success. Also, I'm just not sure that he's ever going to be great to the point where he can consistently deliver the ball where it needs to be. That just may be what he is. I don't know. But the onus is on, why is it important to keep Callahan at this point?
615-737-1025, our phone number. We'll take more of your thoughts on the Titans. Coming up next, we'll get into a spicy back and forth between Callahan and PK after the game yesterday. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby and Rexrode live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Taking your thoughts on the Titans, 615-737-1025. Let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line. Welcome in Joseph to the program. Joseph, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thank you so much for taking my call. Look, I think, to be honest, cooler heads are going to prevail here. As much as everyone wants to go for Callahan's head, it doesn't seem like the players do. They may have played poorly, but they still seem like they're playing hard. It doesn't seem like he lost the locker room. So that's my first thing. Second thing is I don't think you've got anybody great to replace him. Third thing, if you care about Cam Ward, consider this. He's coming right out of college. He would have had Callahan for a few months, an interim play caller for a few months, and then whoever the new coach is. 4 play callers in like less than 18 months cannot be good for a quarterback's development. Finally, Bill Callahan helping the offensive line, making them better than they probably will be if he goes too, because he probably isn't going to stay if Brian gets fired, is also not good for Cam Ward in the long run. So let me know what you guys think about that, but hopefully that cools some things a little bit.
Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate the call. I mean, all fair points, Joe. I think all things we brought up before. I would also say, you talk about the offensive line playing worse. I'm not sure how much worse it's going to get than what we've seen over the last 12 months, right? Like it's not going to be that much worse. The play caller thing is a fair thing. But again, I guess my counterpoint to all that would be, what about the damage of leaving things the way they are, right? It's bad. This is as bad as I can remember. And look, the Whisenhunt years were bad, and I try not to be, as much as I can, prisoner of the moment in this type of stuff. But I think this is probably the worst they've ever been. I think the stretch they're in right now is the worst that I've seen since they've been in Nashville. So I don't want to undersell that. I think that's where they're at with this group right now.
First of all, I appreciate a differing perspective.
No, for sure.
I mean, it is good to it's good to hear that there are humans in the world who follow the Tennessee Titans who don't want the coach fired. I appreciate that. Also, Lenny on the text says the last caller was ass, and another texter says, "quote we ass, let's never change," end quote. So a little bit of a dissent to that opinion quickly here from other fans. Yeah, I just I think my biggest quibble with that is the whole, they haven't quit. Again, they're not going to quit. These
September.
guys, yeah, and again, they're not playing for a coach. They're playing. Most of these guys are hoping to remain NFL players for another year. Some of them are stars, and there's a handful of guys who are getting big money on this team, and everybody else is not. They're either young or they're they're scrap heap veterans. I mean, obviously, this team has a lot of scrap heap guys. It's the worst roster in the NFL.
Yeah,
they're not going to quit. They're gonna play hard. It's the NFL. It's a violent game, and it just doesn't happen. That's not football. It's not reality. Playing for a coach isn't really reality. I mean, yes, you could look at a Vrabel. You could look at a Dan Campbell sometimes and say he gets extra out of guys, right? And that's great. That's what you want. But I don't know, your Packers. I know that they had a rough one last night. They're a really good team. Do they play for Matt LaFleur?
No.
I mean, he's their coach. But also, he has demonstrated a level of competence, which is why he's kept his job, and he's demonstrated an ability to develop a quarterback because Jordan Love is freaking good.
Yeah.
And so that's what Matt can this guy do the job? And I think it's if we're being honest, and I don't have these conversations. I don't have truth serum. But I'd be willing to bet that a lot of this locker room has lost faith in just his competence, his ability to give them any kind of an edge. What a coach is supposed to do is supposed to give you an edge against the other guy, so that you have something that that gives you a chance to win a game. And he has demonstrated no ability to get a team to play above its head, other than, I guess, one game in the same site a year ago. But that looks like a completely random occurrence at this point.
Well, and by the way, just because they don't bash the coach in the media does not mean that he's not lost the locker room. Like I would, just because they're not publicly getting after him, which may come at some point, by the way, because we do see that happen at times in the NFL. But just because they're not doing that does not mean that they have not lost. I don't know how you couldn't have lost confidence in him based on the way this season has gone. to this point.
Yes. Now, I will, to his point on Bill Callahan, and I understand the offensive line as a whole is bad. I think we have seen Peter Skoronski get better. Now, they had a twist yesterday where he and Moore did a terrible job and he got put on his butt. But, like, there's an example of a guy who I think has gotten better. I think J.C. Latham, there's probably a decent chance he is too. We don't know. He's hurt. But you are taking away months of Bill Callahan. I still have a hard time. I understand how easy it is to look at everything and say, well, he must suck too. I think he actually has skins on the wall to where you're like, well, he probably knows how to like make offensive linemen improve over time. So you are losing that. You're losing another, so there's two people who do a lot of work who you're losing. But again, it's problematic in that way if you fire him. But it's also to this point, I think 4 games in, this team is not going anywhere.
Yeah. This
team is probably picking first in the next draft. And that's the last time I say draft this week, I swear.
Thank you.
So, yes, there is some short-term loss there, especially I think with Bill Callahan, but you have to weigh that against the toxicity of the situation.
So back to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Ryan in Brentwood to the program. Ryan, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
What's going on, guys?
What's up?
The 2nd and 30 play, I would be absolutely throwing my headset like crazy on getting that first down like the Texans did. Like, there's no anger at all on this team from the coaching staff. There was an offside or a false start play on the offense, and Brian Callahan blamed it on the refs. I mean, there's no anger at all. They don't hate they don't hate to lose. Winning, the word win stands for what's important now. What's important now is to fire Brian Callahan. So, it's absurd to not think that Brian Callahan doesn't need to be fired.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate the call. Joe, let's quickly, speaking of Brian Callahan, let's get to the back and forth between him and PK yesterday after the game. Here was the exchange between Kuharski and Brian Callahan.
Do you think this is a resilient and relentless football team?
I know what you're doing there, Paul. I know what you're doing. And I'm not going to answer that right now.
Well, I mean, those are the things that we've tried to cover.
Yeah.
This football team, you're 20-some games in.
Yeah. I'm going to just compose myself here before I say something I regret. But, yes, I think this team is resilient. I think it is relentless. We haven't played good enough football, and I think those are two very distinct, different things. We have to execute at a better level. We have to coach better. That's really all I can say.
Brian, did you think this team shows a little bit of resiliency? I loved it. Brian Callahan did not, but I loved it.
I mean, Brian, no regrets, baby. Just like that dude with a tattoo on the chest. No regrets.
Not even
Go
a
after
letter.
him. Go get him. I actually, the underrated part of that whole thing is essentially he ended that with we got a coach better, going to play better. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was a slightly altered wording of got a coach better, going to play better. I just can't wait till I mean, Kuharski, that was good. So apparently there's some, some lettering in the building about resilient, relentless. So he found that. I'm very excited to see what Kuharski comes up with today. Should be a real fun time. I'm sure everybody's looking forward to it. But seriously, I mean, Brian Callahan, resilient, fine. Okay. I mean, are they resilient? I mean, there's a certain level of resilience you must have to play this sport and keep coming back. And I mean, even like Simmons at this point is resilient for like standing in the locker room and being like, yeah, well, we lost again. I mean, just having to answer these questions. But relentless? This team is not relentless, man.
Well,
they're relentless. This team is not relentless.
As a texter said earlier, they are relentlessly pursuing 0-17. They are relentless in their pursuit of not winning a game.
There you go. That is true.
Let's quickly get to George on the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. George, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm a season ticket holder. I already got PSLs to the new stadium, which I'm very excited about. I'm being dead serious. This team's not going to win a game. I'm dead serious. This team is not going to win a game. maybe New Orleans week 17 for the battle of the first pick. But I believe it was Big Joe who asked Brinker and Borgante if this team could win a Super Bowl. Dude, they're not going to win a game. I mean, the only way this team wins a game is if whoever they play either pukes the game away, or the team they're playing is playing a fourth-string quarterback, or the other team has their hands tied behind their back. I think Adam Binger was right. Those wheat ass shirts are going to be hilarious. And I think I'm going to have to put a brown paper bag over my face the next time I go to a home game. This owner, she has no clue how to run a successful organization. Like, I'm sorry. She cannot make good decisions. The people she's hired can't make good decisions. I mean, I'm scared to death they're going to screw something up with this new stadium. I mean, they're going to install the seats on backwards, or the roof's going to collapse, or there won't be clean running water. This franchise hasn't gotten anything right since they fired J-Rob, and the hole they have dug with this franchise is so deep and big. I don't know how they get out of it, because it's so hard to imagine Amy Adams Strunk or ever works for her to make a good decision. But I mean, that's the NFL. The owner, she doesn't have to make good decisions, and she gets to make a fortune no matter what happens. So appreciate the call, guys. Love the show.
Thank you, George. Appreciate it. I mean, you could just feel the disgust in George's voice there on that call. You could feel
that was a rant.
Yeah, it was.
If we're like Jim Rowe, like ring that one up or whatever he says, like rack that one.
Yeah.
That was pretty strong.
That was good.
This is a low T alert.
One more segment on the Titans' loss to the Texans, 26-0. We'll get back into it coming up next. Take more of your thoughts. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode. Texans don't lose. Titans lose 26-0 to the Texans. 0-4 for the Tennessee Titans. Joe, do we think that is the game that gets Callahan canned? Is he Brian Callahan this week after the loss to the Texans? Or will he be coaching next week as they take on the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, if you force me to guess right now, I'm going to guess he won't be fired this week. He is talking. His schedule of the presser is later today. It's like 1:30. Yeah, the scheduled presser could always not happen, as we've talked about before. Amy Adams fires people on Tuesdays as a habit, but I'm going to guess he gets a little bit more time. But I'm not super confident. I mean, I think it's close, and we can talk about a lot of this stuff as the week goes on. Couple back-to-back texts about Chad Brinker.
Yeah.
Being the big problem, and Brinker has been here through this whole thing, and he has elevated through this whole thing. Someone on the YouTube chat was like, "Thanks a lot, Rand, for leaving us with this stuff." And it's like, well, Brinker was here for all these decisions too, and Callahan also, by the way. So again, it's like there's a brain trust that, I mean, I know it's convenient, and when Callahan is fired, then everybody can talk about how bad he was. Just like when Vrabel was fired, like, oh, see, he wasn't all that great. It's like you want to believe that the people who are retained, are not the problem. They're the smart ones. But with the Titans anymore, I throw up my hands and say, who isn't to blame at this point?
Well, that's the bottom line is the Titans have a ton of problems, and they have almost exclusively problems. Like, that's what they are, is just a big problem. And look, I don't know that I'm willing to throw Borgonzi in that mix yet. He's just, it's early into the job. There are some things about the draft class that look like they could be good. I think people are going way too far talking about the draft class to this point with what we've seen. You got a second-round pick that's not giving you anything out there. You have 3 fourth-round picks that look like they could be good and contributing players. And then we'll see on the quarterback. So I'm not going to anoint his draft class as of yet. We'll see what happens on that front. But to your point, Brinker's been here for all this, and somehow he's continued to get more power throughout it all, and they continue to get worse. Is that a coincidence? Maybe, but
I don't know about this Brinker.
Happens over and over again. It's harder and harder for me to believe that's coincidence.
Yeah, I'm skeptical about this Brinker guy.
Yeah.
I feel like he's kind of, rich people love AI and how it might save them money. Yeah. And I think he's like bamboozled the ownership into thinking that he's like some AI super genius that could save him $1 million. And that's all it took.
Well, Chad, that sounds like a good plan. We'll put you in charge.
Like, I'll pay all these, whatever models to save you $1 million on some injury guy. And that's all it'll take for ownership and Amy. He saved us $1 million. I think we should keep him.
Well, maybe so. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I mean, is he the one guy who has demonstrated competence and that's why he's been elevated, or is it just like Amy likes him? I mean, I have no idea. And people are like, like all caps start with the owner. Well, sure, but again, you can't fire the owner.
She ain't going anywhere.
Should Amy hand off to someone else in the family? That you could have that conversation too. But it's just, again, it's like at some point you just point at everybody and say, yeah, it's your fault. But of course, she has to figure out who should stay, who should go. I mean, it's like a bad episode of Survivor. Joel said it feels like Joe somehow imported some of the old Detroit Lions level of terribleness down to Nashville and the Titans as he covers the franchise. I'd like to point out, this is my second season of not covering the Titans from a writing perspective, and it's the worst. Like, when I covered the Titans and wrote about them, for the most part, they were really freaking good. I just like to point that out. Thank you very much.
I'm kind of with Joel. I mean, maybe it's a delayed process. You left Detroit, and all of a sudden the Lions are really good, and it took a little bit, but now the Titans they've just been drugged down into Lions territory.
So you're saying the Titans have been lionized?
That's
Is
what
that
I'm
what
saying.
We're saying? Maybe
it's
that's
your fault.
The theme of the show. All right. Hey, it's fine. And I thought L'Jarius Sneed wasn't talking trash.
Good
What
game
do
from
I know?
Nico Collins on Sunday. Who?
He was classy, by the way.
Who? Who's that? That does it for us today. Jake Lyman coming up next. He'll continue to guide you through this misery. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.